we are coming to the Stop Killing Games initiative. This has been an ongoing thing with this man, Adam Ross, I believe is his name, as well as the fact this is his channel, Cursed Farms. And right now, the Stop Killing Games initiative has gotten all the signatures it can. It's already entered its final phase and is going to be reviewed. So we've done everything we can. Well, unless you're only if you're a European citizen. The most we can do is put our Americans and Canadians and other people can do is put their visuals out there and get people to hear it. And this guy's been doing it for 6 years. Crazy.
Hey, this video is a bit awkward since a little over a month ago, I made one called The End of Stop Killing Games. And this is a wrap-up to Stop Killing Games. In my defense, when I made that, I really did think that was close to the end for what Stop Killing Games could influence. But since we didn't accomplish everything, I wanted to go down swinging. Well, through dumb luck, that video swung so hard it changed the timeline. So now I should probably do a different one. Just to let people know up front, this video isn't that important. It's gonna go over various things, but nothing earth-shattering. Yeah, in fact, let's get the important stuff out of the way. It's only a few things. If you're in the EU, you can still contact members of European Parliament to support the Stop Destroying Video Games initiative. And you, and people from several other European countries, can add a comment to the Digital Fairness Act, asking politely if they can add protections from publishers destroying video games you've already paid for.
The way he said that, politely. Politely, gamers. Gamers aren't known for their rhetoric as being polite. So be polite, everyone. Speak in gentle terms. Don't be overly aggressive. Just send a nice little message, very calmly, and just tell them, hey, listen, you need to not do this, okay? All right.
And I guess if you're in the UK, you can still contact members of Parliament to support the government petition to stop destroying games there. Though I won't lie, the UK situation is a lot iffier. Finally, this one's a shot in the dark, but I've been advised if anyone has connections to the EU Commission, specifically mid-level admin workers, that could be very helpful. You can contact me or the official spokesperson. His contact info is on the initiative page. Okay, that's it. Nothing else I'm going to say here really matters much, so if you want to stop watching, that's fine. I guess first off, thanks to everyone who's assisted with the Stop Killing Games campaign, or is still helping. It's involved literally millions of people at this point. On one hand, I'm really glad we got the help we needed. On the other, I still can't shake the feeling of how stupid this all is. Not people helping, but that we have to fight for any of this to begin with.
You're dealing with humans, and stupid just comes with the territory. If there's a way to do it, they'll be stupid. I mean, come on. Look at our federal government here in the USA and how dumb it's run. I mean, literally, congressmen and senators who serve lifetime appointments are still in office and still getting reelected because they either live in an area where they can get reelected easily because they're the only one on the ballot, or people just don't care enough to pay attention or want to do anything about it. I mean, it's a bad situation, and it continues the same rhetoric over and over and over. So it's stupid because this is just how it is. You think common sense would apply, but it just does not. As long as there's money, common sense will never exist.
The issue of not destroying games that people have already paid for in a business bigger than the film and music industry combined, when the whole thing is entirely preventable, has always struck me as crazy. I still view this like fighting for the right to have plumbing in your home, or to demand that bread you buy shouldn't be filled with sawdust. And no, not just a label telling you that your bread contains sawdust. There is such a thing as minimum.
There was a dude on YouTube who was running experiments testing sawdust flavors just to see how it was like in bread. I have no idea how dangerous that is, but he did it. He wanted to see if he could get the taste of a tree into bread. So he tried different methods like sawdust, different types of sawdust crunched, mixing it. Then he tried taking water, adding it to wood, letting it soak for 24, 48, 72 hours, and then adding it into a bread mixture. I mean, it's funny, but hey, people do what they do for views.
Minimum standards for many products. So this entire movement has never been a calling for me, and still isn't. It's more like this particular practice has annoyed me way more than the average person, and I just want it to go away so I can spend my time on things I'd rather be doing. However, through dumb luck, I've been in a unique position to attempt to end this practice, and I knew I would feel like a giant hypocrite if I didn't give it my best shot. So I guess first, why don't we go over what that shot has looked like and how effective it's been? Let's pull up the old battle plans again. Okay, so here are the original plans, but new options opened up along the way. So here's the updated version. And rather than go over everything, I made a key showing the state of each attempt. I'm rating this by 2 metrics.
Ew, it's loading.
Did we accomplish what we set out to do, and how effective was that? Well, on the first metric, we've actually done amazing. We have maximized our chances to push back against the issue of games being destroyed.
I mean, like 1.5 million signatures. That's a threshold.
On almost every front. That's incredible. I wouldn't have predicted we would.
Holy crap. Am I seeing this right? Contact the ACCC. Are you telling me Australia is part of the EU? Hang on a sec. I must Google. That is knowledge I was not aware of. Okay, so maybe it's just a connection politically.
Would have gotten this far. In
That's
fact,
interesting.
I'd say the only place we outright failed to launch was Brazil. It was looking promising, but we ran into a wall where the law firm needed more data on how many copies of The Crew were sold in Brazil, and we just weren't able to find it. So, bummer about that, but I think it wasn't the most pivotal country in this either. I think France, Germany, Australia, and the EU as a whole are the heavyweights in this. As long as we get a major market prohibiting game destruction, I think we'll largely win this globally. But what about the second metric, how effective this all was? Well, some were outright failures, some of which were kind of expected, but by and large, we still don't know. All the consumer agencies are...
The FTC is controlled by companies. It literally, it does not do the job it's supposed to. They do whatever benefits them and gets them the most money in the pockets of the ones running the FTC. The FTC is pointless. It serves no purpose other than to line its own pockets.
We're still investigating this. The Digital Fairness Act is still accepting comments. Hell, even for the European Citizens Initiative, we still don't know if we actually got enough valid signatures. Though I think we probably did. So as you can see, a whole lot of the campaign now involves waiting. And government does not move quickly. But seriously, I think we've done about as well as is humanly possible given the landscape. Especially considering that I'm just a friggin' YouTuber. I think all this stuff we've launched are our best shots. I don't see lots of new stuff on the horizon later. I think we either win on at least one of these, or if they all fail, then it's over. Besides the Digital Fairness Act, the only big one I think I still have any influence over is the European Citizens Initiative. However, since the signing period is over, we're entering a phase where things like counter-lobbying and political connections are most important.
This man has already been a victim of the lobbyists. Someone, anonymous of course, posted claiming he was being paid by the initiative to do this do all this advertising that he's been doing. But that's not the case at all. He's been volunteer hours of his own time doing it. But it was a whole cluster of just pointless dribble and an anonymous tip where they're saying he's getting paid, he's making all this money, he's a consultant, he's getting money paid on a contract. I mean, none of which was true. And I'm surprised it got as much traction as it did.
And frankly, that is not my department. I know nothing about that. Though some political insiders do, and they're advising the official organizers. I'm not even aware of all their plans, but even if I was, I probably wouldn't say what they're up to. Ever since the industry took a shot at us with fabricated claims, I've been acting a little bit like I've been Mirandized.
Yeah.
So on some parts of this, I may be
A martyr.
very quiet since I know someone is trying to use that against us. If the insiders have requests from me, I'll probably follow them. But this is turning into a game I'm not qualified to play. I am qualified to encourage people to sign a form. That's more within my skill set. I don't have a timetable on the initiative since some of it is out of our control, but it's going to be months down the line before there's a hearing. I probably will be assisting the organizers with notes and talking points for when they go to the EU Commission. Assuming they do. I mean, we're probably safe with the signatures, but if we don't have a million valid ones, none of this part matters anyway. That's why we have alternate plans of attack just in case others fail. So that's where my mind is at, but if I confuse people, here, I made a chart of Ross vision on how I see the campaign right now. That should hopefully clear it up. Now some have asked, hey, since you're winding down your end of things on the campaign, can you pass the torch on this or let the community take over? Yeah, sure. You don't even have to wait on me, really. I actually have someone in mind who might be great to lead or help lead things in the future. It's the same person who helped organize things to contact TV stations and was talking about a possible watchdog group if the initiative did pass. So he's had good ideas. As for the community, I'm afraid I don't have a solid plan for that as of yet, other than it's being sorted out. A lot of people are helping with that. Yeah, in fact, I'm not even in direct control of the website, so it may be outdated for a few days while the person who does maintain it is working on it. Now, I am pessimistic on how much we can do beyond the action we've already put into play, but I'm of course in favor of people continuing stop killing games related things if they want. Speaking of related things, I've received a lot of questions about the current Steam and itch censorship going on right now. I am not an expert on that, but I can talk about how it relates to us. I have some good news and some bad news, and I think some more good news. The good news is if a storefront removed your game and gave you no ability to back it up and continue running it without further support, then that is exactly the situation Stop Killing Games is trying to address. We've been mostly focused on games that have the online dependency built into the game, but if a store gave you no notice before removing your game, then yeah, it's the same problem, just a different flavor. The game you paid for was taken from you. Now, stores could still remove access to games you paid for, but they would have to give you 30 days notice or something, and the ability to back it up and keep running the game before something like that would be okay. So while we can't address this situation now, because again, government moves really slowly, what we're doing could partially protect against situations like this in the future. Now, the bad news is Stop Killing Games would do nothing to prevent companies from delisting games. That's because to solve that, you'd have to create law mandating stores keep selling games. That seems unreasonable and unrealistic.
To be clear, companies that stop running those games that require an online connection are essentially saying there's no more money left to be made in this. It's time to move on, and that's what they're doing. What we're asking for is for them to give us the access to it to download the files and then boot it up on our own servers and run it. Now, there have been other game designs that have done this, like Ragnarok Online has done this for decades. RuneScape has done this for decades. WoW, before the whole takedown with Blizzard going after all the private servers, we're doing it with Classic WoW for years. It goes on. But these companies don't like others making money off their product. They don't like that because those private servers, some do charge some things to get access to some things. But they chose to back out of it and say, we don't want to support this anymore. So you're not going to make any money off it. Neither are we. We're going to destroy it and get rid of it. This is where the nuance issue comes in. Should gamers be allowed to keep those games that they or if they directly or indirectly paid for in some form or fashion, and be allowed to keep playing it on a private server? That's the situation. Can they be allowed to do that? And whether or not the business doesn't like you making money off that private server. Well, you chose to stop supporting the game. I'm a firm believer that they should just let those private servers be and do what they want. Let them make money off it. You gave up the game. You don't want to run it anymore. Let it go. It's not your responsibility. You hold no investment and no legality in this game now. It's the private server. They took on the risk. That's on them. And they are solely responsible. Simple as that. That's what they're doing. That's what they need to do. Just back off and let it happen. Ragnarok Online's done it. WoW's done it. And of course, you've got RuneScape, oldie, and there's even old servers for Neverwinter, which I've been running for a long time. From Neverwinter Nights and Neverwinter Nights 2. There's the Trinity one from Neverwinter Nights 2, and then there's the Baldur's Gate Legends of the Sword Coast, I believe it was called, servers that are running online. Like, these things exist, and they're still running. I mean, and those developers haven't tried to get those taken down other than WoW. So the game developers and the publishers just need to give up and stop doing this. They're so obsessed with destroying it and then moving on to the next thing. I mean, imagine you paying $80 for a game and then $40 for multiple DLCs, only for 2 or 3 years later, down the line, they get rid of the game and you no longer can play it. You're like, what the hell? I paid for this. I invested hundreds of dollars, and you're telling me I can't play it anymore? They're like, yep, we're taking it down. And even Steam said in their terms of service and in a message that people are going to have to start getting used to, you don't own the games. You're paying for a license. It's disgusting. It's a disgusting thing. Because they want to destroy the game to force you to move on to the new one that they make. So you keep paying them more money. I get it. They have to make money in order to, make more money and keep on functioning. But the problem with these companies is that they put up these lofty goals with each game that they make, expecting to make bank, and don't have realistic outlooks. They don't. And then their investors all come back like, what happened here? What happened to all this money? And then they just blow it up and say, oh, well, this didn't go well. And then they shut down a developer and saying it's their fault when a publisher was the one who pushed all that crap on them. Like, here's a good example. From Software has been using Bandai Namco as a publisher for them in the space for video games for years. 4 years. Over a decade of games released with Bandai Namco. But Bandai has taken no direct input on From Software and stayed out of the way, letting From Software make the games that they want to make and produce and release. And that's worked out well for Bandai Namco because the success of Elden Ring was the magnum opus that just opened the floodgates for From Software. And Bandai Namco realizes, all right, this is a golden egg. We're not going to interfere with From Software's development. Let them make the game, and it'll work out. It'll always work out because you're trusting the developer and not sticking your nose into it because you're going to get your money back. That's how you should be doing it. Like, for crying out loud, the size of the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC was nuts, and it only cost $40. $40 for a whole other game. It's things like that these developers don't get. And we're starting to move away from live service games. There has been an influx since 2023 of single-player games. That's where it's going again. Because live service games are dog piles of crap. Crap! They're just not worth playing. They're not. And there's people that'll tell me otherwise. Oh, Fortnite's so great, and I love League of Legends, and I enjoy this other stuff that I'm playing online. I'm like, dude, you're paying more and more money just to maintain a service over and over and over. It's just annoying. Battle Pass. Buy the Battle Pass. I mean, Battlefront 2 was a giant, major cash grab for EA. Ooh, that was a fun time. That blowback was crazy. That went on for 2 years. What saved Battlefront 2, though, was when they included the Jedis and the dark side users, and you could have actual saber duels. That saved that game.
We're also not addressing Visa, MasterCard, and PayPal's grip on entire world commerce, because that sounds like a way, way bigger scope than anything I could ever deal with. One of the reasons Stop Killing Games has made it so far is because there are gaps in the law on the issue of game destruction. We're shining a flashlight on a practice that may already be illegal. I can't even imagine where you would start with trying to rein in payment processors. That said, this censorship problem has gotten a lot of attention. So hopefully smarter and more experienced people than myself know how to push back again.
Payment processors, whew, they have been around before I was even born. I mean, they've been in the market since the early 90s and steadily just expanded and gotten bigger and bigger. American Express, Visa, MasterCard, PayPal was like 2000s, and so on from there. Venmo, Patreon, man, there's a few out there. Oh, Cash App's one. Bitcoin. I mean, these payment processors, they exist. They've existed for a while. Visa, MasterCard are definitely the monopoly ones. But to tackle that issue, there's a lot of areas to attack that from.
Against this. But even if they don't, I think this is a problem that will solve itself over time. That's because both players and publishers want to buy and sell the games that are being censored. So that means there's real market pressure to find a solution.
Oh, well, the solution's pretty easy. Look at the existing policies in place for Visa and MasterCard. See what they have in there contractually. Because I'm telling you right now, Visa and MasterCard were not aware Steam had those games on there with all that incest, the child exploitation, and other sexual exploitation that was on there. They did not know. It was only because that group pointed a light at them that then Visa and MasterCard were like, whoa, no, we don't want, Steam, you got to take those down. And another was another website. It was an IO website. They had to take down 100+ games. Like, it's for me, I think it's because Visa and MasterCard are so integral around the world for payment processing. They cannot monitor and spy on every single place that has a contract signed with them that uses their service. So they don't know every single thing on every single website that they're available on that's being paid out or being paid for that has stuff on there. So they probably were pointed at Steam, and that's how it happened.
In fact, I bet there's a startup frantically trying to fill the gap that credit card companies are leaving them right now because there's so much money being left on the table for them. If you bet on companies wanting to make lots of money, you're rarely disappointed. I also think this situation points out.
Yep, Bandai Namco. When Elden Ring had this huge success that it did, they announced future IPs for it. And now we got Elden Ring Night Rain. And that's actually a really good game. It's a live service game, mind you, because From Software wanted to dip their toes in that. But it's not bad. It's not a bad live service game. It really isn't. It's pretty good. I mean, if your live service is good, like Helldivers 2, yeah, you can have a lot of success. And Marvel Rivals. That's another. Like, good live services. Good. That understand the community and don't go full AWOL with crap. Because the one thing that makes a live service great is day one releases being excellent. That's what really gets the motor going for everybody.
How hollow the alternative solutions you sometimes see suggested are. Like clear.
Like, let me give you a good example of live services out there. Helldivers 2 has no PvP. It focuses on team fighting against AIs, and those AIs are enemies in the game. And you control your team if you want to, because there's friendly fire. It's funny because it's just hilarious what you can do in that game. And then there's Elden Ring Night Rain, which is a co-op game, no friendly fire, mind you, but it is a co-op game specifically designed for you to play online with friends in groups. You can run solo, it's not recommended, but they focus heavily on that, and they remove the element from Dark Souls, from all the Souls games that they usually have with invaders. So there's no PvP with confrontation with people fighting each other. And then you've got Marvel Rivals, which is the replacement for Overwatch. It literally took Overwatch's mantle and is the new one. And Marvel Rivals, Disney dipped into this market, and they're actually listening to their fans about what they want to see. And, well, what they want to see is interesting. It's definitely a guy's game, but the point is they are listening, and they're actually producing content that the people want to see. See, most companies, developers especially, some don't listen to their fan bases. They don't. There's two things that can destroy a publisher's trust and developer's trust with their fan base. One is if you don't listen, and two is if you drift away from what made you great. So, for example, From Software doesn't listen to its community when they ask for certain things. And sometimes they'll give you certain things, but they usually remotely don't listen. But what they do well is they stick to what they're good at, and they don't stop doing it. Larian's another good example. They strictly stayed to their turn-based type of games, developed Baldur's Gate 3, and it was a humongous success. And they stick to what they're good at. And the other thing that they did well is what made the game so successful was for how long it was in alpha and beta, and they were taking suggestions from fans about how to do certain things that they would like to see in the game. And they listened to nearly every single suggestion, every single one. When you think about that level of success that these two have had, of one From Software sticking to their niche, which is Souls-like hard games, not backing off it, winning two Game of the Year awards, one with Sekiro and one with Elden Ring, and then you got Larian Studios, who did something historic at the five major gaming awards. They took away Game of the Year at every single one, all five, for Baldur's Gate 3. That's how big that game was, because it listened to the fan base about what they wanted. Companies that are failing need to stop being investor listened to oriented companies. All they're doing is listening to investors and what they want, and they're so tone deaf, they don't know what they're making. And another thing is, hire writers who understand what it is that they're making. Look at what Elden Ring did. Here's a great example. From Software, Miyazaki had run out of content. They didn't know what they wanted to do, but they know they wanted to do something. So they hired George R.R. Martin to write lore for them. He wrote an entire new world, which was Elden Ring. Every character, every concept, everything. And what does Miyazaki do best when he's got new lore? Destroys it. Just destroys it. And that's a Souls game. A dark reality hard game where the whole world's been destroyed. And that's what they do. They do so well. Like, if you're running out of ideas, go to someone who makes those ideas. An actual writer who knows content of fantasy worlds. But other developers and stuff don't do this. They hire writers who are PC correct, who are literally politically on the wrong side of the fence, and don't have a clue about the source material that they're writing about. You've seen it with like the MCU movies, for example. They don't know what they're writing about because they've never read a Spider-Man comic, know anything about the character, or anything about the universe. They're just a hired writer who comes in, writes something, and they go with it. So many things have failed, like Witcher. Witcher's a prime example. It failed because of the writers. It literally did. When you have an entire source lore for a series, Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, Witcher, freaking George R.R. Martin's Game of Thrones, and the writers just drift away from the source material to take liberties on so many things. Here's another example. Halo. They did Master Chief in a series, and they rewrote his character to be just terrible. Terrible. This is the issue. You have all the source material in the world in front of you, writers. If you're giving it to you up front, just utilize it. Don't come in and try to write something different from what the original and what made it so good for the fans. If your goal is a cash grab, you're not going to get anything. You're just going to bomb.
Or labeling, or voting with your wallet. In both cases, those do not save the games you want to keep. It's the same for censor games also. Voting with your wallet only helps if the game is allowed to exist in the first place. So Stop Killing Games would only help with part of this censorship situation in the future, but it's certainly compatible with people trying to do more. Okay, speaking of the future, I think what we've done with Stop Killing Games has actually changed the timeline, or is attempting to. As someone who's been at ground zero...
Ever since Stop Killing Games gained momentum, because here was the situation. Pirate Software decided to watch Adam Ross's video. He watched it, and upon watching it, he gave his take. His take was completely wrong, and because he didn't back down from his take, knowing he interpreted what Adam was talking about wrong, and was even recognized by numerous streamers, numerous YouTubers, numerous politicians as well, lawyers, telling them he interpreted it wrong. Pirate Software, being the antagonist to this whole story, brought it down on himself to become the reason why it succeeded, because of his terrible take on Stop Killing Games. From then on, Stop Killing Games has taken on a different level. It has entered tons of space. Lobbyists are fighting against it. People are making lies about Adam Ross with anonymous reports saying he's making money from this, which he's not. There have been videos from politicians saying this was not going to work. Companies telling you this isn't going to work. Even the best part is the lobbyist group that represents the companies that are fighting against Stop Killing Games do not agree with the lobbyists who are stating the items that they did. Two game developers were on Twitter, I forget their names, stated, we don't know anything about what they're talking about because they didn't consult us. The lobbyists claimed that they consulted all their companies that they were representing. And these developers, two of them that were on the list of companies who were part of the lobbyists, literally came out on Twitter like, they never talked to us about this. Like, dude, they didn't even consult them. And they're two big developers. They're no joke. They're like, we didn't hear anything about this, and this does not fit our viewpoints. Because there are developers out there that say, stop treating games as a license. They don't like that. They're part of a lobbyist group, and they don't even know that the lobbyists are speaking out of tone and out of touch with the actual people they're supposed to represent. I mean, it's bad. That's how bad the situation got with Stop Killing Games. It just did. It blew out of control.
You're on this? I thought it might be fun to compare what would still be happening if the movement had never happened. First, let's look at the battle plans. How many of these would still be happening without us? Oh, yeah, nothing. None of this would be happening. Stop Killing Games is taking credit for getting all of this rolling.
I'll be honest. If this was becoming a major issue and our good friend Total Biscuit, our cynical Brit, was still around, rest in peace, cynical Brit. If he was still around, he would be part of this initiative and probably be at the forefront with Adam. Like, no doubt. Because he despised censorship and politicians trying to control transformative content and games. He fought it tooth and nail. That guy was an activist when it came to gaming.
If you don't believe me, I encourage you to look at any news related to saving your games prior to January 2024. I feel certain without us, the crew would have been just another shutdown, like Darkspore, Battleforge, PlanetSide, Asheron's Call, Dust 514. I mean...
But keep in mind, the hero and the antagonist of this series is Pirate Software. Kind of ironic. He not only played the villain, but he was the hero who got it the attention it needed because of how bad his take was. And that's pretty much the biggest reason why it exploded the way it did and drew so much attention.
If any game was going to get people motivated, I would think it would be Overwatch. It sold over 50 million copies, was destroyed, and people just accepted it, best I can tell. I think it didn't have the same legal openings that the crew did, but there wasn't an upswell that led to any big action that I'm aware of.
That's because people were promised Overwatch 2 with an actual single-player campaign and unique stories for each of the characters. And you know what they got? Multiplayer again, with the exact same characters, the exact same structures, and just the few tweaks and changes. That was Overwatch 2. Oh boy.
I think if we hadn't acted
now
when
you know
we
why
did,
Marvel
the
Rivals
game
took
destruction
over.
would just continue as usual, the same way it did in 2023, 2022, and so on. I really believe this movement was our only chance on this. Oh sure, there would be other game shutdowns, but then people would just accept them too, like there's some sort of law of nature. Hell, some still do. You know, I never expected a Penny Arcade comic on this, but I love the
I feel like I understand the stop killing games side of the argument, but I don't understand the keep killing games side. I mean, they don't call themselves that. This is why nobody can have actual conversations about shit anymore. Everybody is always trying to deliver viral moments, and nuance is lost. They have a position and it just happens to be different than yours. So what do they call themselves? Consumer annihilators.
write-up underneath it. What we've been conditioned to believe is normal simply isn't. The purpose of the campaign is to give you what you already own. It's a bizarre state of affairs. The part about conditioning is so true. From my perspective, it's felt like
I'll be honest, I don't believe free-to-play MMOs should be saved. You're not paying for those. They're free to play. So, I'm a firm believer if you're paying right out of the bucket for a game on day one or anytime after that, and it has a price tag on it of like $69.99, that's the threshold that it should be held at. Like, I guess a good way to approach this for lawmakers would to be set a price threshold that games have to meet in order to qualify to be grandfathered in to not be destroyed. That'd be a nice instance. I'm not sure how they would enforce that, but like if the price threshold for a game was $69.99 or more, that game cannot be destroyed and has to be saved in after its end of life cycle. That'd be a nice threshold to meet. And it would also force developers to be regulated on pricing for games, which means if they don't want it to be saved and part of that stop killing games, they'd have to make it $59.99, making it $60 or even less. Imagine that. A good way to regulate the price and at the exact same time force them to make lower pricing. Ha! I've solved the mystery.
Lots of gamers have gotten brainwashed on this over the years. I really feel like we're defying the odds by getting people to wake up. So what didn't we change related to game ownership? Well, there's a few things. That bill in California doubling down and saying you own nothing, but that there should be clear labels about you owning nothing would still have passed. That was mostly from Sony pulling movies off its platform, not us. The court case against Ubisoft in the US might still have gone through. It depends on how motivated the plaintiffs were by the movement or not. I unfortunately think that case has no chance of stopping the practice of game destruction, but we weren't behind that one. Server emulator attempts on the crew would still be happening without us, thankfully. The US Copyright Office would still have rejected the Video Game History Foundation's attempt to get extremely meager exemptions to the DMCA. And yeah, I think that's about it. We can take credit for pretty much.
I want to be clear, the US government has made subtly no new law in years. Like, no actual productive law. That is how stagnant our current Congress and senators are. There's been no new good law that benefits the people as a whole in some form or another, that isn't in favor of them getting more money in their pockets and benefiting a company. That is where the stagnation is with the American government. They don't spend any time putting in work to pass productive law. It is so bad now. So bad. And the worst part about it is that they make millions doing nothing. Show up to a few speeches, dress up real nice, go out for some dinner with some lobbyists, and that's it. That's all they do. And when the company needs something, they call in that favor. After, oh, we gave you that sponsorship money, now we need you to do this for us. That's how it works. And it's so disgusting. I am not a fan of any lifetime serving senator or congressman. They all need to be booted out and fresh blood needs to get in there. Man, term limits would be great on them. But of course, they argue back to you, well, nothing would get done if we're forced on term limits. No, that's not it at all. More would get done because we could actually get people in there that want to get more change done actively and more fast. Like, more fast is a really weird way to put it. Faster change done at a quicker pace. That's what we need. Younger blood in there. I mean, like, look at the state of the presidency right now. A ton of old men in their 70s plus have been president since then. I mean, wow. Just wow. But now you're starting to get VP Vance is one of the youngest vice presidents, potentially the next candidate up for the Republicans to be president. That's young blood. Now, I may not like the change that happens. I may not like the policies implemented by this newer, younger blood that could end up in office. But here's the point. It's change that we need. Slow. It's not going to be slow. It's going to be quick, and it's going to be hitting us hard. But you know what? It's actual change. People doing their jobs. And if you don't like what they did during the first term, you just send them on out. And you put someone else in there running, and you have them give it a shot. And if you like their change, you can re-elect them again. That's the benefit of term limits on senators and congressmen. Actual change being done. And if one gets elected and does no change at all, next election, they come up, don't vote for them. Vote for the other person. It's as simple as that. That's why I am such a firm believer in term limits on senators and congressmen. Man, that would be so good.
Much everything else related to pushing back against game destruction from 2024 onward. Unless you think that Concord is the spark that would have rallied everyone to push back.
Okay, Concord was a $400 million budget explosion terrible. And I don't think it was because it was buggy. It was just a cash grab game. It was supposed to be Sony's primary launch, I think, on the PS5. And they needed it, but it failed miserably. And again, it's because these companies are listening to investors and not paying attention to trends. Live service games, they're going one direction. It's clear as day. Night Rain, Marvel Rivals, Hellriders. Dude, it's so obvious where they're going. The mechanics are no longer in favor of spitting out the same old crap. You gotta get innovative and you've gotta change it up. Helldivers was a breath of fresh air for the gaming community. Night Rain followed a similar principle that Helldivers 2 did. And I mean, let's be real. Marvel Rivals follows a similar pattern of other live service games, except it did something better. It took advantage of source material it has in a universe that people want an actual game in, where they could play those characters and fight. Because it's never been done. You're going to say, well, Overwatch, yeah, it's been done. No. I'm talking about taking the Marvel universe and doing it. DC tried to do something similar. It was a moderate success, but Marvel Rivals really just blew it up. And the biggest thing is them taking advantage of the skins. The skins are where the money's at. But a lot of these live service games don't do that. They're battle passes, random gotchas, RNG crates, just stuff nobody wants to invest money in anymore. Like, it's gotten out of control. If you're going to be a live service game, you have to be innovative and creative, and it's got to be something different about it. Something that grabs people's attention. Not the same old junk pushed out for the last 2 decades that nobody is going to touch. And you're like, why did this fail? And then the company goes in, well, we blame the gamers. They didn't buy our game. Well, duh. But it's not our fault. It's your fault for making the same crap. And the focus has been shifting to more single-player based games. People want a single-player experience, not this live service online requirement nonsense. So, that's what you get.
Or hey, Anthem, that too.
Anthem had so much potential. That game had so much potential. But it bombed. It bombed. 1, due to the buggy release. 2, due to the limited amount of availability for the armors in the game, and the controls, and the fact it was linear rather than open world. Man, Anthem had a lot of potential. It really did. That game, it could have been something great. It could have been Destiny after Destiny. Because Destiny was great. The first Destiny had a few problems, but that people did love it. I mean, I had a good friend of mine named Jesse. Man, he loved Destiny. He played the crap out of that.
So yeah, we're on a different timeline now. It feels weird. Okay, and here's the part nobody is going to like. I have been exhausted almost every day for over a month now.
I'm not gonna lie, he doesn't look bad. Like, he doesn't look terrible in any way, like he's super exhausted. Maybe tired, but I guess it's because when he's making these videos, he's got to spend time writing the script and getting all the words out and everything that he needs out. Because that's why you'll notice the momentary cuts. Because sometimes you can prattle on and on and on. You know, like I do.
This is what I'm looking like almost all the time now when I'm not on camera. I know a lot of people found out about Stop Killing Games just recently, but I've been going at it hard for over 1.5 years now, and I wasn't exactly well rested prior to that. When I made the first end video, I thought I would get a break afterwards. Nope. It's been unending overtime because like hell I was gonna miss the opportunity to actually turn this around. But man, I am feeling it.
You can thank Pirate Software if you want to. The ultimate villain turned into the hero of the entire initiative because of his terrible take.
There's been something that has to be done every waking moment since then. And I have no room to complain either. I'm the one who brought this on myself. Well, no, the industry brought this on all of us, but I'm the one who decided to get in front of it. But since I have been getting worn the hell down. This may sound crazy, but I'm actually at a point where I'm becoming numb as to whether we even win or not. If we win, great. If we lose, but I still gave it my best effort, I can live with that. But what would drive me crazy is losing because I dropped the ball on something I could obviously fix. For example, if a regulator gets bribed by the industry, I have no influence on that. But telling people there's a way for our issue to be a rider on the Digital Fairness Act if enough people comment on it? Yeah, that is totally something I kind of had to do to maximize our chances. So I kind of either need to win or be defeated. In between just doesn't work for me. I mean, even if we lose, I want everyone involved to own it. So if the EU says there's no problem with publishers killing games you paid for, fine. I want to hear them say that terms like these are considered legal and completely fair under Directive 9313 EEC, which is supposed to protect consumers against unfair terms and mass-produced contracts.
Yeah, companies have drifted away from consumer-friendly and are more in favor of just being non-consumer friendly. They don't care about the consumer anymore. They literally want to sell you a product and cancel it at any time. That's what they want to do. So say you buy a hairbrush, not electric, nothing at all, but they want the right to walk into your house and take it back after they've stopped supplying service for it. That's basically where this is going. It's such a subtle example, but it's the truth. That's where it's going.
If consumer protections never really existed for video games this whole time,
Consumer protections haven't existed, period. I haven't seen a single situation anywhere that has gained any kind of traction where our consumer protections have ever been enforced. The consumers, it's like the Consumer Riots Act or something like that. I forget what it's called, where people go in to a place and say the customer is always right. But that's an old saying from the customer is always right in terms of taste, which means they're not always right. They're just right in terms of what they find tasteful. I mean, dude, seriously, the things companies have done and gotten away with, false advertisement is everywhere. They lie about things all the time. Like, here's a good example. It's a scam, what I'm about to tell you, where they'll send you these catalogs, and they'll tell you in that catalog, if you pull this many of this particular thing, you can win $100,000. You're like, oh, well, I'll just play for fun. And then you pull 3 of that thing. It's like, oh my God, I won $100,000. But turns out, and it's not available on the actual catalog, that they're telling you, you won that 3, but it only gives you the chance to participate in a drawing out at a dealership with cars, where they tell you you get to pull your lightning out a possibility of winning $100,000. It's literally a scam to get you out there. And it's false advertisement because they don't make that clear in the actual ad. They do this kinds of stuff. They do this kind of stuff to get around, and never once has false advertisement I've seen ever be sued for or enforced by the Consumer Rights Act. Ever. If someone can point it out to me in chat or in the comment section, that would be interesting, but I'm telling you, I've never seen it.
and the EU Commission wants to keep it that way, then let's hear them say it so the whole world knows. They could have saved me a lot of time and effort. I think there's a serious chance we could win, though, somewhere. Anyway, I've said before, I've kind of hated doing all of this. It's just been a competing scale of knowing I would hate myself more if I quit at a critical juncture. Well, I'm just about through the most critical junctures. Oh, there's more left, but not ones I know how to influence much. My goal on all of this has always been to get in, hit as hard as I can, then get out. The getting out part is taking longer than I would have wanted, but that's still the plan. I want to be done with this so badly. I don't think a clean break is really possible for me yet. Even as I say this, I still have days of campaign work I'm behind on. But as soon as I start to get on top of things, my plan is to be on a standby break, where if something important happens where I need to do something, yeah, I'll drop everything and do it. Otherwise, I want out as soon as it won't cause things to implode. If you work past a certain point, you kind of stop caring about everything, or at least I do. Right now, I feel like I want to
He's passionate about it, but not passionate about it, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know how to put his attitude. His attitude is more, I'm passionate about it. I'll put in the work, but only enough work that covers certain areas. Because I'm certain he could do even more than this if he really wanted to, but it takes its toll. So that makes sense. So I guess it's more like that. Putting in just enough to get the job done, but not putting in overtime to really overdo it. Because as they say, you can pack yourself with as much information as you want, but sometimes too much information is not a good thing.
take a break for the next 10 years. I probably don't need to, or can't really. Maybe I only need a couple days. I have no way of telling anymore. You know that life training machine from The Princess Bride? Yeah, I feel like I might have had a round or two on that. Ironically, I haven't had time to play a
With
game
a water wheel?
for close to a couple months
Okay,
now.
Magic.
I admit, part of me just wants to play games for days and not look back. I'm reminded of an Onion article talking about how you could just stop working and play video games until you run out of money and get evicted. My mind has gone there before. So assuming I get my life force back at some point, which I probably will, I don't know. I've noticed recently I have a lot of new viewers, so I should probably talk some about this channel. This whole thing with Stop Killing Games has been one giant detour for me. It's not what I want to spend my time on any more than necessary. Now things could easily change, but at this moment, I have no plans to make more videos on Stop Killing Games, because so much is underway now. Now there are all kinds of things I probably could report on, but here's the way I look at it. I see news related to game destruction as kind of falling into one of two categories. Some news raises awareness of the problem, but then nothing ever comes from it, nobody does anything, and the problem just gets worse. This is the kind I did without realizing it 9 years off and on leading up to the campaign. Every video I've made on this subject prior to 2024 never amounted to a damn thing. Now the other category points to some sort of obvious action to be taken, so people do something, and that can change the situation. A good chunk of the coverage I've done on Stop Killing Games has been an attempt at that. See, I don't care about reporting the news. I care about games not being destroyed. The news was just a means to an end. So, since I have a lot of new subscribers lately, if you came here expecting a lot more news on dead games and the campaign, you're probably gonna be disappointed and should unsubscribe. I'm only interested in category 2 now. In my eyes, the important part is what we're doing, not how often I'm talking about it. And this is what we've been doing. This is the part that counts for something. I know this is gonna upset people, but it's like I said, you work past a certain point, you stop caring about everything. Maybe I'll be more open-minded once I'm less burned out, but this campaign stuff is not a new direction for the channel. This is all temporary. So that may leave you wondering, what the hell is this channel then? Well, normally it's a few things. The big thing I was doing prior to this was Ross's Game Dungeon, where it's sort of a game review show, but kind of targeted to something you might watch late at night when you're wondering what you're doing with your life.
Is it Tales of the Crypt? Late at night? Just a random, not very scary, but somewhat scary series? But you take it on games? Maybe it's that.
I think that's my target audience. The last episode, Sabotane, is actually pretty representative of what to expect, though some can be much shorter. If you like that, then yes, you probably should stay subscribed. I've also been meaning to continue Freeman's Mind, where I narrate the thoughts of Gordon Freeman from Half-Life. That one's kind of a runaway experiment that's been taking me too long to do, but people still seem to want it. Now what I've done in the past and would like to get back to are original comedy shorts using a game engine to animate the scenes. Most of these were a series called Civil Protection, which is set in the Half-Life 2 world created with its software development kit. I also did one short in Source Filmmaker, which is a whole different kind of pain. I've had other one-off original shorts also. They're almost all comedy or comedy adventure. I like directing, but I kind of hate animating. It's such a time sink. Though it's probably getting easier with more tools available nowadays. Especially since I'm not aiming for Pixar quality. I care way more about writing and acting. I doubt I'll hit it, but my ideal look would be something like the in-game cutscenes from StarCraft 2, where it's obvious it's a game engine, but the animation still looks great. Now I should warn people, I am slow. You know how most movies take a couple years to make because a lot of effort goes into making them? That workflow is a lot more compatible with my brain.
The thing he brings up there brings another good point to me, is what companies are doing nowadays with movies and games, making these huge productions out of them, having thousands of people work on it. When it's clear as day, there's not enough, you can't oversight that many people. You can't quality control that many. It's just not possible. Things get overlooked, things get missed, and it's just a cluster crap hole of people taking money that they don't deserve. And that's just what it is. These developers and publishers look at these big scopes and hire 1,000 people to do it, and then don't take any quality control properly or oversight. if you notice, the games that have been successful over the last few years are either game developers who have been in the niche that they've been doing for years and they never stop doing it, and it's worked out great for them. And then the others are small indie studios who quite literally are making these high quality, high tier games that are doing extremely well. Like a likely game of the year winner this year is going to be Expedition 33. That game was great. Great. And it was a small indie developer of like, I believe 20 people. 20 people made that game. And the quality was beyond anything a major AAA would have ever been able to come up with in the last decade that was even good. I mean, Space Marines 2, that was another great one. Lord of Shadows. I mean, there are some good ones out there that are just phenomenal because they have smaller teams and more oversight. Smaller teams means less going on all over the place and people actually looking at it and working with it. Literally, that's what it is. And that's literally what it is. And it's great. And we're going back towards the smaller developing teams doing this. And even if they're a big developer, like Larian and From Software, but they stick to their niche and they don't leave it, they can hire more people to develop bigger games, but they stick to what they're good at. They stick to their CRPGs. They stick to their Souls-likes. They know what they're good at, and they keep doing it. Occasionally, they like to branch out. Like, for example, Miyazaki had gotten so sick of doing Dark Souls games, he wanted to do something different. Sekiro. Sekiro was that. And you know what happened? One game of the year in 2019. One game of the year in 2019. And then another thing. Miyazaki wanted to do another Dark Souls game, but he wanted it to be an open world. What happened? Elden Ring. Game of the year. Larian didn't stop sticking to what they're good at. Owlcat, another developer for CRPGs, stuck to what they're good at. And they came out with the Rogue Trader from Warhammer 40k. And that game has been a phenomenal success. Larian's magnum opus success was Baldur's Gate 3. Like, every Baldur's Gate game that's come out has been, like, the Baldur's Gate 1, 2, and 3 series, not Dark Alliance. But the Baldur's Gate 1, 2, and 3, each one has been great. Baldur's Gate 1 was good. Baldur's Gate 2 was really good. I love that game. And Baldur's Gate 3, mwah, chef's kiss. When you get these developers that do this kind of stuff, they're always developing better and better games because they stick to their niche that they're good at. That's what developers and companies should take, is stop drifting off into these weird zones where you think you can make all this money and just stick to what you're good at. I mean, let's be clear, Sekiro was a different type of game, but it still stuck to their niche of hard games with hard difficulties. Just, this was more action-packed, awesome fighting mechanics, block and parries, like all that stuff.
But that is not how things work on YouTube, which wants new videos constantly. See, if I was smart, I would just make short commentary videos, get way more views and income, and not bother with trying to make something more creative. But my instincts just tell me that is not what I should be doing. I also do monthly streams with viewers where I just answer questions.
For current streamers and YouTubers to grow, they have to come out with daily new content every single day. It's a grind. And that's where the algorithm is at. I mean, my channel right now suffers from being a very old channel from 2007, and I started creating in 2017. And it just suffers from being in the backlog of the algorithm. I get very few views, and it sucks. I spent years trying different stuff. I've been a variety streamer. I've been a content creator. I have done video editing. I've done 3D animations. I've done modeling. I've done so much crap, but nothing's really taken foothold and gotten any attention. So I dipped into the VTuber space. And honestly, I enjoyed this a lot more than I've done anything else. Because here I can give my honest opinion about how I feel about certain things and how I view it. And I don't try to be oh, I'm not going to change my opinion, this won't change type of person. I can be convinced if you give me a valid argument that fits it.
But those aren't really worth watching. They're more just a proof of life thing, since in
Oh,
the
he
past,
does have a
viewers would
Twitch.
constantly make comments about whether I was dead or not, and now they don't say that so much. Though I think I'm going to change that a little bit and start posting those on my secondary channel, A Curse Farms Junk, instead. So hopefully only videos I think have some merit to them will be on this channel in the future. So those are the plans for the channel, but before I go, this part is a bit selfish of me, but it's related to game preservation. Part of the reason I hate seeing games destroyed is because so many just have fantastic worlds. So it's a slap in the face to me every time a great one is destroyed forever. Hey, Anthem is due to shut down. A bunch of people say it's not a good game, and they're probably right. But look at that world. That looks pretty cool. Of course I would want to see that. Too bad EA is dumping all of this in the trash so no one can ever experience it again. This is also why I can get resentful towards people trying to defend this practice. It's art destruction, and it's preventable. Yeah, let's add a label saying this world will be completely destroyed for everyone. That solves the problem, right? Anyway, I'm rehashing some of what I talk about in this video, but even if we end up being unable to save games, man, I at least want to save the game worlds. Well, I think technology is making that more and more of a possibility, especially with using AI to extrapolate assets. I see there being a few levels to this. The first would just be a completely static world. The second would cover things like basic looping animations, grass swaying, stuff like that. Then you would have advanced or contextual animations like NPCs or traffic. And I guess the fourth layer would be mimicking the game itself. Though I would still get a lot of value with even this second layer here. Some have compared what I'm asking for to the NoClip website. Yeah, that's similar, but there are hundreds of games I want this for, especially for games on death row. Now, some people may bring up how there have been AI projects to generate gameplay-like footage in real time, like an AI rendition of Quake 2, or prompts by Google. In my opinion, this is barking up the wrong tree. All the footage looks soupy and has an uncanny valley feeling. Instead, they should be using the AI to take its best.
It's basically AI attempting to put you in a lucid dream where it feels like you're not 3D and everything's just fluid.
Guess generating the models and textures, maybe even entities to be ported to an engine like Unreal or something. Then it could be rendered cleanly and not have this creepy soup vibe to everything, or at least a lot less. Really, the technology for some of this I think is here right now, but it needs to be integrated and streamlined because the people willing to go and plot out these game worlds might not be the same people developing the tools. Even with the technology, right now there's probably 20 steps between capturing footage from the game and porting an imitation of it inside an engine you could walk around in. Anyway, I just want to encourage development in this direction. I said I'd rather be doing things besides the campaign. Well, this is one of them. Be part of a Game World Explorers Club. So that's the wrap up. Stop Killing Games is largely underway, even though there are a few things left to do. I'm a bit of a burned out husk because of it, but I can keep burning some more if necessary. And yeah, that's it. See ya.
His face at the end of the video. He looked like he was. I'm done. He's like, I'm just done. Oh man, thanks for the time, man. Hey there, everyone. If you enjoy this content, like and subscribe, and comment down below. Thanks again.